you were going 98 miles an hour. So when you say impulsively speeding, I think it's recklessly speeding. The speed limit where you were was 45. People are dying on our streets every week because people choose to get behind the wheel after they've used or they've been drinking. Lands on your hood with enough force that it dents it. What did you think you hit?
I didn't know, ma'am. I really didn't know.
But you didn't care to stop and see. Because, if you hit a dog in this state, you're lawfully required to stop and render aid to a dog.
I understand. It felt like I hit a big pothole. And when I pulled over for a second, looked in my rearview mirror, I didn't see anything.
And these men all have something in common. And that is every time they get behind the wheel, they are a danger to the public. Some of them have killed people. Some of them nearly have killed people. But they all have one thing in common. And we see this time and time again across all the states that we cover with these vehicular homicide charges. And that is the uncanny ability to get behind the wheel with a suspended license, without proper registration, without insurance, with a continuous disregard for the law, a long list of moving violations. We rarely see someone who gets behind the wheel and truly makes a mistake, kills someone as a first-time offender. It's the strangest thing. But furthermore, what we see that is so common in these hearings is the complete lack of insight, the complete inability to even fake empathy. It's the most shocking thing, but we see it time and time again. So let's dive in to this series of parole hearings of those who should never get behind the wheel of a vehicle. And with that, let's jump in.
Orlando Neely, number 279731.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Orlando Neely, inmate number 279731. He is serving a sentence of 10 years suspended after 4 years, followed by 5 years probation for tampering with physical evidence and evading responsibility which resulted in death. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of May 5th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed Tier 2 on September 19th, 2024, and is currently participating in voices with an estimated completion date of 10/18/2024. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range risk of recidivism. Mr. Neely, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I'd like to read a letter.
Sure, go ahead.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the board for seeing me, and I'd also like to send my deepest apologies to my victim and my victim's family. The impact at large was greater than I ever imagined. However, now I have a much more enlightened understanding of my actions on others and the effect on the community overall. During my incarceration, I actively participated in the Voices program. Voices taught me that my actions not only affect the victim, but may also have an impact on the family and friends. This program made me aware of the ripple effect caused by my bad decisions. I am truly grateful for this program and the critical thinking skills it's helped me obtain. These are things I never imagined learning before. At the beginning of my incarceration, I wasn't handling or accepting my own realities in a mature plus responsible way. Instead, I chose to numb my reality of the harm I inflicted upon others. After being enrolled in the Tier 2 program, what I've learned is that you can never heal an open wound with substance. There is no way to avoid it other than naturally being uncomfortable to make the necessary changes. I'm actually very uncomfortable reading this out loud, but what I've learned is that I'm always a work in progress. I'm making the necessary changes to being open, willing, and honest. Tier 2 has helped me with this tremendously. Lastly, I must ask the board for their continuous help and for an opportunity without prejudice, parole into a halfway house will ensure structure necessary to continue on the path of my own betterment. Although I cannot fully heal wounds or bring back my victim, I still be able to pay back my societal debts, specifically my restitution. I ask the judge to allow me to honor. It is my hope to continue to do the right thing and never let history repeat itself. I vow to become a productive member of society upon my release. I plan to achieve this by maintaining employment, supporting my family, and participating in mental health plus therapy sessions. I fully accept any decisions made today and hope you can see the change within. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Mr. Neely, for your opening comments. We're going to take turns to ask you questions, and then when we're all done, we will deliberate on the record and give you our decision. So Ms. Turner will begin.
So Mr. Neely, congratulations on completing tier 2.
Thank you.
That was a necessary and appropriate step for preparing yourself to be successful back out in the community. And I also want to acknowledge that you've gone a year without having a DR. So that is a sign of some change. And that's also positive. But your circumstances are extremely concerning. So someone died as a result of your actions. You were on probation at the time
Yes,
for
ma'am.
drug selling,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were on a suspended license.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you under the influence?
No, ma'am.
So you have 5 years of probation associated with this sentence, and DOC has not yet reviewed you for a halfway house.
That's
So-
next month.
Great. You have 6 years of this sentence hanging over your head when you go out to the community. I understand this is your 7th period of incarceration,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're 40 years old. So it really is time that things change. So you have young children who, aren't getting any help by you being where you are. But you have a federal sentence. Has that concluded?
Yeah, I finished that when I was home.
Yeah. So that was unlawful transportation of firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
You have your history consists of 16 arrests dating back to 1999 that involve domestic violence and drug crimes, a little larceny, burglary kind of stuff. And then this federal sentence. I understand you feel that your sentence in this case, 10 years with 4 to serve, was really because you were being sentenced off your past criminal history. Is that how you feel about the situation?
Repeat that again, ma'am.
That you were being sentenced for this 10 years with 4 to serve based on your past criminal history.
That's not my past history. That's like how the feds are. Like I said, the feds, like they charge you
Okay.
based off your past,
Okay.
not the state.
But do you understand that our best predictor of future behavior is past behavior?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, you got the tampering because you endeavored to make repairs to the vehicle you were driving at the time you hit and killed the pedestrian. And your evading charge was because you left the scene and didn't fail to render aid or show any compassion or take any responsibility for someone laying in the road. Why?
I didn't know in the beginning that I hit somebody, ma'am. And I told the officer that, and that's the honest truth. I really didn't know. It was a rainstorm.
Well, they landed on the hood of your car, or it wouldn't have been dented and you wouldn't have replaced it. So what did you think you did?
I had a small dent in the middle of my the front of my truck, and then I had a shattered. It wasn't a big thing,
Yeah,
a splinter.
Yeah.
But I understand.
Are you saying that the dent in the car happened some other time?
No, it wasn't significant, ma'am. That's all I was saying. Like, I didn't really know that I hit a
You're
person.
driving and something, lands on your hood with enough force that it dents it. What did you think you hit?
I didn't know, ma'am. I really didn't know.
but you didn't care to stop and see. Because, you know, if you hit a dog in this state, you're lawfully required to stop and render aid to a dog.
I understand. It felt like I hit a big pothole, and when I pulled over for a second, looked in my rearview mirror, I didn't see anything. Like I reached over, I didn't see anything, and I just drove home. In all honesty, you are trash.
So your release plan is halfway house, you don't have a sponsor,
No, ma'am.
and you want to get a job at Aldi's.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you provide us a letter saying that they intend to hire you?
I didn't write the letter saying to pretend to hire me, but I put that in my when I talked to Ms. Dunkley.
And she encouraged you to get a letter from your future employer. You weren't able to do that? It's Officer Dunkley, by the way.
Sorry. Ma'am.
That's all right. You know, I do appreciate that you apologized at sentencing. I'm sure that went some way towards helping the victim's family grapple with the loss of their loved one. But this is so egregious, sir. I struggle with the nature of this crime. And then your efforts to cover it up are disturbing. They're not indicative of somebody who's a productive member of society and being an adult, you know, with children who look up to you. So to you, a productive member of society, you want to be employed, you want to support your family, and you want to take care of your mental health. Those are all positive. What else does a productive member of society look like?
Just a person that can contribute to his community, like no longer catch cases, do the right thing. Like, and I plan on doing that. I want to pay my victim's family the restitution that I asked the judge to honor. I really want to do that because this has been the worst thing I ever had to deal with. Like, this is something that's really traumatizing for me, and I'm happy that I got the chance to not self-medicate and really deal with it, and it's helping, but I have a long way to go. Well,
I appreciate the trauma that you might be experiencing as a result of taking another human being's life and failing to render aid. That makes sense, but let's not forget that you're not the victim here.
I understand. I understand, man.
Okay. All right. So, you know, what I would say, productive member of society, you need to start giving back. You know, you need to be out there volunteering, giving of your labor and your time to your community, because, you know, you've done a lot of damage in your past that needs to be rectified. You know, you need to start paying up towards the good column. You can, you know, you can register to vote. You can get a library card. You know, there are lots of ways to participate in your community, and I hope you will find them when you're back with us. So, I encourage you not to drive until you've settled matters with the Department of Motor Vehicles, because this is tremendously concerning. Whose car was it?
My kid's mom.
What's been the outcome of the civil suit the daughter of the victim filed against you?
I think they got paid already, $25,000.
From your insurance company?
Yes, ma'am.
You know what, when you're taking voices, one of the things to keep in mind is that $25,000 is being paid by all of us in society who abide by the rules, register our vehicles, and pay insurance. We're all paying that $25,000.
I've learned that.
Okay, good. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, my colleague has covered a lot of ground in this particular situation. I don't really have a whole lot of other questions at this point, Mr. Neely. Just to reiterate that this is a very serious offense. That the true victim here is the victim who is no longer with us in this particular situation. And I don't have any additional. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
So, Mr. Neely, I just have to let you know, the fact that you're saying that you thought you hit a pothole, I cannot imagine an adult person being hit by a car and you think you went over a pothole. And what I struggle with is whether you're being honest or whether you thought you were scared, because I just cannot see someone hitting an adult person and then thinking they went over a pothole.
And if I would not sit here in front of the board and tell you a lie for my better good,
But one thing I do agree with, Mr. Neely, you better figure out how you are going to give back to the community. I agree with Ms. Turner. That's the only way that you're ever gonna at least make an attempt to come to terms with this crime that was committed.
I agree.
Can I ask him one more question?
Sir,
Talk to me about the residential search in March of 2022, where they found all the drugs in your house.
No, that wasn't my house, man. I was at my a friend's house, and after I found out, when I went to talk to the officer about the case, and he showed me the video, I started taking ecstasy pills, so I wouldn't go to sleep.
Wave your hand, Mr. Neely.
wave your hands. Both of them.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
And the MDMA?
Yeah, that was ecstasy.
Okay.
That's what I was self-medicating with before I came in. I was running from facing my reality.
But you were doing mental health programming at the same time, right?
No, I went to CJR after the fact.
I hope you'll continue with that.
I will, ma'am. I need it.
All right, we have no further questions. We're going to just deliberate on the record.
So, this is a very concerning case. We're dealing with somebody's life being taken from them as a pedestrian out in the community. Mr. Neely has a concerning history and made some very poor choices after the incident in which the car he was driving on a suspended license struck and killed an individual. So he scores out high on both instruments for his risk to reoffend. He was on probation at the time. He's been unsuccessful 10 out of the 12 opportunities been afforded at community release. So I do not have Mr. Neely going out to discretionary parole.
Neither do I, Turner. I think I probably would have felt a little better had Mr. Neely, I think, be a little bit more honest about saying, that he thought he hit a pothole and then went ahead and was fixing all the damages on his car. And his history certainly did not help.
And I don't know why you would pull over and look in your rearview mirror if you thought you hit a pothole. Something else was going on.
Exactly. But how can you compare a pothole with hitting an adult? Anyway, I have Mr. Neely denied. And I had him I had nature and current offense, and
I have criminal history, nature and circumstance, poor performance on community release, and poor institutional adjustment. he would have gotten into those programs so much faster.
Had he not,
Right, you
yeah,
know,
so it's 5. Yeah,
or we don't need offense on probation if
Nature.
we're doing poor performance on
Oh,
community
poor
release.
okay, so in the case of Orlando Neely, inmate number 279731, there is a motion to deny request for discretionary parole for these reasons. Nature and circumstances of the current offense, criminal history, poor performance on community release, and poor institutional adjustment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm sorry, Mr. Neely, we were not able to help you today.
It's
So
all right.
good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
This concludes the hearing for Orlando Neely, inmate number 279731.
Okay, and there's another perfect example. As you can see, someone who shows no remorse, no empathy, someone who is the victim himself. He said, "Oh, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was the trauma for me." And I just love how the parole board called him out on it, saying, I don't buy the pothole thing. And, you know, in this state, even if it was a dog, you'd have to stop and render aid. I didn't know that that was a law. It's a good one. But we have heard that excuse many times. Oh, I thought it was a pothole. And, you know, they did an investigation. This accident, that when he killed a man, it happened July 21st, 2021. They didn't make the arrest until May 27th, 2022, and here he was up for parole 10/21/2024. And would you know, he already had multiple warrants out for his arrest, by the way, when they caught him up. He had arrested for other things because he's got a jacket loaded with crimes. Justin, I'll screen share it with you so you know what I'm talking about. You see this? So as you can see here, it's like October. Let me share it with you. October 18, 2017, sale of narcotics. 7-year sentence, suspended after 3 years probation, 3 years. Then he violates 1/26/2024. Here again, it's the same arrest date, right? Then you have arrested on 5/26/2022 for the evading of responsibility on 7/29/2021. A 10-year sentence, suspended after 4 probation 5. Arrested on 3/30/2022, so it would have been before this date, 2 months before this one, where his possession of a controlled substance. And then I guess tampering with physical. You see what I mean? It's freaking confusing. But the bottom line is that, look at this. He's given a 10-year sentence, suspended after 4. He was already on a suspended sentence for the 7-year sentence over here, right? 2 7-year sentences. And sentenced to 4 years just for tampering with physical evidence. But when all of that's said and done, he's still only serving a maximum of 4 years for killing someone. That's the bottom line that I'm trying to share here. With parole, after just like a year and a half of that sentence, it's insane. It's a gimmick. There's no reason for it. You have a man who has a long criminal history. You give him chance after chance after chance. He's driving on a suspended license. He kills a man. He runs away. He fixes his car to get away with it. He almost does get away with it. The article that I read here, I'm not screen sharing it because it has ads and whatever. They found him because of good investigation work. There were cameras they got. They were ultimately, it took a while, but ultimately they figured out who it was. And even though he's backing, a judge could get him more time than he's serving now just for the time he's backing, and they don't. Instead, they just give him another suspended sentence with a minimum time of 4 years. Why? Why? Who are you protecting? Who are these laws designed for? What's the point? He killed a man. He's not taking accountability. He still sits here today and says, I swear, I promise, I thought it was a pothole. I was sober when it happened. BS. I'm just speculating in a situation like this. We don't know. Of course, they couldn't prosecute him on that because he ran away. But they didn't have to give him a sweetheart deal. They didn't have to give him any deal. They could have had him on a suspended sentence for violating his probation. It's these two-faced, pathetic, weak, bleeding heart judges and prosecutors. This is not a political statement. This is just a fact. It does not benefit society to put people in a speeding bullet so they can drive around and kill people. People without empathy, people without responsibility, people without remorse, people without maturity. People who have a proven track record to be a danger to others. Why would you not make him serve more time? Prison is put there for 3 reasons: to rehabilitate, which he clearly has not, to protect from society, which for the short amount of time, another year, it's doing, and for retribution. And if you think 4 years is enough for taking a life, I guess you can join the judges and DAs in the state of Connecticut. Or maybe you can move there and pay their I think maybe the highest taxes in the nation, maybe second highest. Look what you're getting for it. We know where it's going. CDL license training, halfway houses, automatic attorney for revocations, great DOC care. Well, we even saw some DOC inmates, they get to go to a sauna because it's part of their religious belief. A sauna in prison. Now we'll go to the next case. It's a similar story. It plays out a similar way again. And with that, let's jump in.
My name is Andre Gwire, inmate number 444897.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Andre Gwire, inmate number 444897. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, suspended by 30 months to serve, followed by 3 years probation for assault second with a motor vehicle, assault second with a motor vehicle while intoxicated, and illegal operation of a motor vehicle while under the influence. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of September 10th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender completed the DUI program in Tier 2. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Gwire, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning, everyone. I wrote a letter. It's a letter of apology and change. First and foremost, I want to apologize to the people which I have affected through my prior impulsive actions and mindset. I've made immature, senseless, unmindful mistakes that I deeply regret on a daily basis. I have accepted the consequences of my action, bearing full responsibility for my wrongdoings. To this day, I feel remorse. Due to my negligence, I negatively impacted the course of multiple people's lives, consequently causing harm and pain to the victims involved. For those reasons, I offer up my sincerest apologies. I'm currently in a halfway house. I've been in this facility for about 2 months. I'm blessed to have this opportunity. I show my gratitude by continuing to live a clean and honest lifestyle. I've made positive steps by securing employment at ShopRite as the department manager. I've been cooking and handling hot food. I've had that job for about two weeks now. While incarcerated, I took advantage of the programs offered to me, completing DUI and Tier 2. I gained further insight on my previous mindset, continue to accept and acknowledge that I am an addict and I will always be an addict. These programs have taught me more than just don't do drugs or alcohol. They taught me all my actions have a reaction, that I have to be aware of myself, to think things through, When my overactive mind begins to be too impulsive or compulsive, I need to ground myself in reality. By questioning my actions, sharing my experience, listening intently, I have gained a broader perspective on how I treated people and myself throughout my past. By not pushing blame onto others and accepting responsibility for my wrongs, I truly learned how my actions affected others. I learned how to identify my triggers and how to deal with them in positive ways. I learned how to better control my emotions, putting logical thinking over emotional-based behavior. I learned to think of others' well-being and my actions do not just affect me. I learned that I have a choice on how I view things in life. Before incarcerations, I used to view my circumstance as a car accident. Through perspective, I view it as a car crash because I had a lot of choices leading up to it that I chose to do wrong. Therefore, going forward, I will make better choices, think about my actions, slow down and value not just my life, but the lives of others around me and respect others around me.
Are you all done, Mr. Gwire?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for that well-written opening comments. Did you write it by yourself?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay, well, we appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thank
So
you.
there are three of us and we're going to take turns to ask you questions. Once we're done, we will deliberate on the record and then give you our answer. Okay, give you
Okay.
our decision. I'm going to ask Mr. Rodriguez to begin with a
Thank you,
question.
Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Gwire.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for that opening statement. You did address a few of the questions that I had within the context of that statement. But these were very serious. This is a very serious accident with quite a few victims involved in this. What in the world led up to all of this?
So the day of the accident, I was working full time as a chef at a bar and grill. My toxicology showed that I had no alcohol in my system. I just had marijuana in the car, and I had marijuana in my system. I was rushing back to work on my lunch break, because I was training a person that barely spoke any English, and I was trying to get back. So if he had a modification on his order, he wouldn't be able to properly do the order. And in that moment, I should have slowed down and realized that there's people around me, and me trying to hurry back to work doesn't trump the people around me and their safety.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you were smoking while on the job?
No, I ended up getting ambulanced out and they took my blood and I had marijuana in my system. I did not smoke that day.
Oh, so it was residue from before, if I haven't smoked before. Were you high
Yes.
were you high when you were driving the car?
No.
How do you, so I'm having how do you explain the incident? You weren't high?
I was impulsively driving too fast to try to rush back to work. But in my bloodstream there was THC, Delta 8 and Delta 9.
From a previous.
Yes. I
I got
currently
it.
don't smoke. I haven't smoked in years.
So the
I
issue,
haven't
the issue
drank.
here was, the issue here was you're deciding to go really fast and not pay attention to the speed laws.
Yes, sir.
You lost control of your car.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, you don't have a prior criminal history, although you do have a recent arrest between 2023 that came up. All right, what happened? What happened there? That's after.
2023, I was in car. That was within the same month. The burglary charge, I was working at the bar and grill and I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and they weren't tipping us out they weren't tipping us out properly. I was a bartender at the bar and grill, and they were withholding our tips, and I decided to take the tip money and give it out to the associates, and they hit me with a burglary charge. I took matters into my own hand.
That was another impulsive decision you made?
Yes, those were all within 2 months of each other. Those are all from 2020.
So what drives this impulsivity for you?
Excuse me?
What drives this impulsivity for you?
At the time, I don't believe I was valuing life the way that I was supposed to. After this point, after I got into the car crash and I got out of the hospital, I actually checked myself into a 6-month program. I lived in a sober house for a year. It was in the program was originally in Canton, Massachusetts, and then I went on to Falmouth, Massachusetts. It was a 2-part inpatient program. After that point, I lived in a sober house for a year.
Okay. All right, so tell me a little bit about programs that you've taken. And what and the involvement in those programs has really contributed to your change. What did you learn? What are your skills you learned? What were those things that you really got from that program?
So after the car crash, I decided that I was not living life the right way. I began to truly acknowledge the fault in my way of thinking, my thinking patterns, my mindset, and I knew that I had to get away from the people I was hanging out with, the routine of my lifestyle. So I called a hotline. I had really good insurance at the time, and they ended up placing me in Canton, Massachusetts at Bedrock Recovery. From there, I was in Bedrock for about a month and a half. That was the first phase of treatment. There, I started to realize that my impact on others affects people in a negative. That's the ripple effect. And I started to take my life seriously. I started to take other people seriously. I started to help others in a way that I needed help. I went through extensive therapy, and I looked back at my childhood traumas. I looked back at everything that might be causing me pain, on why I was doing stuff impulsive, and why I was feeling the way I was feeling at that point in time. From there, I went to Falmouth, Massachusetts to complete the second phase of the program, still inpatient, and I stayed there for a few months after that in Falmouth, Massachusetts. And in that program was called RCI, Recovery of Champions. From Recovery of Champions, I went into their sober house program, and they recommended that I live in a sober house, that I don't get into any relationships for the next year, and that I truly work on myself, how I view things, and what I'm going to do forward in life. What I took from that whole experience though is that I had childhood traumas. My father was shot when I was 6 years old, but my life was not bad. I don't have to rush throughout life. I don't have to put my feelings and my emotions over the feelings and emotions of others around me. I continued with AA, and it showed me that there's a whole bunch of people hurting out there. There's a whole bunch of people that need help, and it's not about me. It's bigger than me. While I was in the sober house after a year, I had a sponsor. His name is Franklin, and I continued with that process, and I ended up getting a sponsee, Tyler Ravenoff, and he was my sponsor up until when I was incarcerated. He currently just had a lapse, but it showed me that I can move on past the point in which I was, and I can make a difference into the people whose life I affect. While I was in Massachusetts, I worked at Walmart full time. I was a first shift manager supervisor, and I worked my way up to that point.
I just want to start because we've read some of that information already. I'm trying to get to like what you've learned now, and what you've gotten now from the program that you've taken while you were there, while you were inside.
Are you referring?
The DUI
Tier
program, and
Okay.
and your tier program.
Oh, from DUI and tier. So
Sorry, I
DUI.
clarified that earlier.
Sorry. So tier 2 was more drug related and it was more like just basically saying no to drugs. But what I took from that is that drugs aren't the problem. How we feel is a problem, and what we need to do better is think of the solution for that problem. And my solution while I was incarcerated, I used to write a lot. I tried to help other inmates. I tried to see my faults when I talked and had conversations with other inmates. The DUI program hit me deep because there was other people with similar charges in my program, like manslaughter and assault twos and assault ones with motor vehicles. And it showed me that my circumstance and what happened could have been a lot worse. It also showed me that my mindset was a little skewed. I looked at it as a car accident, like it was an accident. And at the end of the day, I chose to be driving too fast for a reason that was not important.
So now you've been in a halfway house. What are you doing now is related to your relapse prevention?
I go to AA meetings online. I'm in a wellness group that the halfway house provides. And we talk about our weekly wellness. We talk about stress. We talk about coping skills. We talk about our triggers. Every week is different.
And can you just share a little bit about what your plans are in continuing to transition out? What are you working on in terms of employment, education? Because I see you do have some college.
Yes.
And
So yeah, I went to UConn for about 3 semesters, the Waterbury branch. As I reassimilate into society, there's a few things that I want to work on. One, I want to continue to work a full-time job. I actually have a beautiful fiance and a little girl that has Down syndrome. So I've been proactive in the Down syndrome group since I've been out of incarceration, just to fill my time in between work so that I have positivity throughout that. So I want to continue with the Down syndrome group. I want to continue to go to AA meetings online. If I'm allowed parole, I definitely want to find a home group church. I'm very faith and spiritual based. And yeah, that's my plan. As far as college wise, maybe further down the line, a year from now, I could look at going back to college.
okay. And tell me a little bit about what your support system looks like upon your release from the halfway house. If you go off parole.
My support system is beautiful. Honestly, I can't thank my family enough. My fiance is very adamant. She's my approved driver while I'm in the halfway house. She picks me up from work. She drops me off at work. She listens to how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. She grounds me when I need it. My daughter has been the light of my life. She gives me a why and a purpose, and she helps me think differently on how I'm supposed to treat others, how I'm supposed to go about life and be a man and a father for the people around me, not just for my family. My mother has been nothing but supportive. I'm currently in Waterbury. She helps me financially. She helps me. She's just a phone call away. She helps me whenever I need someone to talk to on top of the online AA classes. My stepfather has been nothing but supportive. They're honest with me. They give me tough love. Like they realize that I made a mistake in life, but they're also telling me that I'm only 26 years old and that I still have a whole bunch of life to live and a whole bunch of life and love to give to other people.
It's probably more or less a mistake and more a choice that you made to do what you
Yes.
decided to do, right? Madam Chair, I think at this moment I don't have any additional questions. Do you have your driver's license?
Since I've been out, I don't currently have my driver's license. Since I've been out, I've looked up the steps to get my driver's license back. In the meantime, my fiance is very adamant and she picks me up to and from work. But I looked up the proper steps. My license actually expired, so I have to go through the process of getting my learner's permit again, receiving my license, and then I would have to get the IUD, the breathalyzer in the car.
That's interesting because this is for marijuana. Not
It is. I called DMV and they said that that's my only stipulation, that I would have to get that in the car, which I have no problem with if that time occurs.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering my questions this morning, Mr. Gwire. Good luck to you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Gwire, at the time of the accident, was your license valid?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you were driving with a suspended license.
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of the IUD that you have to put on your car, it's not just for the marijuana, it's for the alcohol.
Excuse me?
Did you hear that?
What you
Yes.
have to install in your car,
Yes.
yeah, it's for the alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
I currently,
And-
I don't drink. I haven't drank since 2020.
Okay,
I'm
how old
clean,
is your
so-
daughter?
My daughter just turned 1 yesterday.
Okay. So have you always had the support of your mother and I believe you said your stepfather and your grandmother and your fiance?
Yes, yes, I have. My fiance is actually from Massachusetts, and she's not that close with her family, and she ended up, while I was incarcerated, she ended up moving down to Connecticut, so she would have the help and support from my mother, my stepfather, my grandmother. My grandmother has been a godsend.
Yeah, but so they were always there for you. It's not just because of this accident. And, you know, saying that you're only 26, Mr. Gwire, 26 is old enough not to make mistakes like you're saying. It's the choices that you're making.
Yes.
Okay. And so, you know, you talk about your mindset being skewed. Why do you think
That's
your mindset has been skewed?
At that point in time, I I was not living right. I was making the wrong decisions. Again, this all happened in 2020. I was 21, turning 22. I was young, I was very immature, and I was making the wrong choices, and the choices that I was making in life were leading me down the wrong way, wrong road.
Yeah. You know, one thing I can tell you that, well, the day that you were rushing back to work, you know, that was also a poor choice. And you did indicate that you thought it's your way of thinking at the time.
Yes.
So, you know, I certainly appreciate your sincere apologies to the victims and,
I
you
actually
know, want
wrote
to, go ahead.
I actually wrote them letters. I don't know if there's any way to get them, but I wrote letters to every victim that was in my car crash.
And it's good that you put yourself in treatment and it follow up. I think the important thing for you now is, you know, where you go from here. And you're 26 years old, and hopefully you won't be that dependent on your mother and your stepfather and your grandmother, because part of being a responsible adult is taking responsibility for yourself. And it's good for you to have them there as support in terms of, you know, your drinking and your smoking. So you understand what I'm saying. And you're not a dumb person. You said you completed 3 semesters at UConn.
Hmm.
So whatever opportunity that you're given today, hopefully you're gonna follow through with all the things that you say you're doing. Okay, I don't have any further questions, Ms. Turner.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Gwire, you you were going 98 miles an hour. So when you say impulsively speeding, I think it's recklessly speeding. You know, the speed limit where you were was 45. So you were going double the speed limit in the area. So much so that your car went airborne when you impacted the other vehicle. Were you yourself injured?
Yes, I broke my ankle, my hip, a rib, and punctured my liver.
We don't have the sentencing transcript in your case. Why did you choose to plead under the Alford doctrine?
I'm not a lawyer by any means. When I talked to my lawyer, she said that out the doctrine would be my best case scenario because we were disputing the marijuana in my system at the time.
What was the basis of the dispute? It was tested and found in your bloodstream at the time of the accident. What's there to dispute?
That I was physically high and smoking that day. When marijuana can stay in your bloodstream for up to several days and weeks.
So it's still in your system and it's still impacting you, even if you're not actually high from it.
Mhm.
So the reason that you want parole is you want to leave the halfway house?
I would like to be active, an active role in my family and in my daughter's life.
And you want to sponsor to your fiance in New Haven?
Yes.
Where is the ShopRite job?
The ShopRite job, I'm currently training in Orange, Connecticut. And after training, I'm either going to be placed in East Haven or Hamden, Connecticut.
How long does training last?
Anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
You know, you're undergoing a lot of change and restructuring of your whole thought process. I'm not sure with a year left on your sentence, you did just barely a year of it incarcerated, that it's, you know, more change is, you know, going to be in your best interest at this time. So, any thoughts about that?
My thoughts on that is, sorry. I welcome positive change. I welcome positivity into my life. The only change would be I'd be at home. I'd be at home with my daughter, and I'd be able to get to my
Well, sir,
employment.
there's a new job. You're
Yes.
adjusting to the halfway house. You're training at your new job. Then you're going to be relocated to your, you know, your shop, the store that you're going to work out of. There's a lot of change. You're going to reapply for your driver's license. You know, there's a lot going on. Don't minimize the realities that are facing you. I'm glad you have a strong support system. You know, quite honestly, sir, if you were in the prison and asking us for discretionary parole, my answer would be no. I would not have put you in a halfway house, not at this time. So I really wish you could have taken the Voices program because I'm not sure you really appreciate the full extent. I mean, somebody's back was broken. Are your friends Alex or Louise in touch with you at all?
I haven't talked to them in a couple of years.
Okay, so that's pretty tragic in and of itself. Before you send any letters, talk to your probation officer.
Okay.
Make sure that that's an appropriate thing for you to do. I have no more questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, so Mr. Gwire, we are going to discuss your case. You can listen but not say anything.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very good.
In Mr. Gwire's case, I mean, there are some positive things that are happening for him right now. And I think he's really, you know, he's coming to grips with some of the things that have occurred. I mean, he has no previous history. He rates moderate. He has no DRs. So there are some good things that happened to him while he was in prison. And also while he's out, he's working. He's got.
David, I'm going to just jump in. He's been out 2 months. He's had a job for 2
I'll get
weeks.
to that. For Turner.
Okay.
I'm just saying some of the positive things that I heard, but in light of that, he's only been out since August of this year, and I think he could probably use some more time still.
That wasn't my point. My point was that he's been out 2 months and it's taken him 6 weeks to a secure job.
Yeah, so that's why I feel he still needs more time to be able to do that. So I am not in support of his discretionary parole today. Do think he needs a little bit more time. I would consider bringing him back. He's got a year. So he's gonna see how he does, see if some of those things straighten out for him. If he works on his license situation, those kinds of things. How his job turns out with ShopRite, because he is in training right now. We still don't know whether that's even going to be a positive thing. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay, so Mr. Gwire has a lot on his plate. Part of what he deals with is making compulsive decisions. There are a lot of new things that he's working on. The job training, going to live with his fiance, being anxious to go out to be with his daughter. I think Mr. Gwire needs some more time to spend working on his impulsivity and continue to work some more on his sobriety. He's anxious to go out and reapply for his license. I just think he may need to wait a little bit more for that. He's going to need one of those IUD in his car. And there's a lot that he has to contend with. And I do think that he needs some more time before he goes out. So that's where I am.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Rodriguez, but we are looking at somebody who, without a criminal history, was driving on a suspended license, binge drinks on the weekends. So that stays in your system 72 hours. So there were a lot of concerning behaviors on his part. He was very young. I appreciate that he recognizes that this was a crash and not an accident, but then he does minimize by using the term mistake. It was a series of poor choices on his part. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation. I think he's, I preferred a release plan for him to a halfway house such that he could stand on his own 2 feet, start adulting in his life, be responsible. And, I think he ought to start taking the bus instead of burdening, his girlfriend who's trying to raise their daughter with driving him around to and from his job. I'm sure she has her own employment issues. So, there's more adulting that he could be doing.
I would agree that if he does go, that he stays at the halfway house. And in terms of having to learn to do things on his own, as I was saying, instead of being dependent, first it was his mother and now it's his fiance. So I'm with you there, Ms. Turner, to stay at the halfway house
And that's a remarkable gift for the damage caused in so many lives.
It was a very serious.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not interested in a rehear.
Neither am I.
So nature and circumstance.
That's what I have. Yeah. Anything else? So in the case of Andre Gwire, there is a motion to deny request today based on the nature and circumstances of the current offense. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Mr. Gwire, we were unable to grant you release today, but we wish you the best of luck and hope that you make the right decision and gain some independence for yourself. before going out to depend on others, okay? So good luck.
This concludes the hearing for Andre Gwire, inmate number 444897. You're all set, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, and we're going to go and see another parole hearing, and this is all in the same day, the same docket, right? For these vehicle cases. Now, I think, to be frank, I think Turner was a little off her game on this one. First, she brings up, you know, he says, "Oh, it was in my system, but it was from the weekend, the THC," and then she says "Well, it was still in your system. It's affecting your way to drive," which is just kind of, I don't know. And then at the end, she brings up binge drinking, but he's claiming he's not binge drinking. Now, this entire case, I don't have information. There's no articles. There's no. But what's weird to me is that I don't know if he's lying and they simply don't have any information. It's not adding up. He has on his record. Here, I'll show you. I'll screen share it because it's just not adding up. Nothing on this case is making any sense. He has assault second with a motor vehicle, incarcerated 7/31/2023. It was a short sentence. Sentence just 36 months. No, I'm sorry, not even that. Less, 2 years and 6 months. So he has, here it says 5 years jail, but suspended after 18 months, or just 18 months. Arrested 11/21, illegal operation, and here it says influence of alcohol or narcotics. See, it's not making sense. His record shows that he does have a history. It shows November 2nd, 2021, that he has a legal operation under a motor vehicle on 6/2/2020, sentenced to 2 days jail. It says he was arrested 6/29/2020 for burglary. Now, I don't know if Sir Richard has the wrong information on this case, or if the parole board has the wrong information on this case. We then have November 2, 2021, assault second-degree motor vehicle. And here it is. But, it's sometimes, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. It's which one it is. But what's not adding up is that he does have the driving while intoxicated charge. And I don't know, can you catch that charge? See, what he's saying is that, I was completely sober. It was in my system from, a bunch of days ago. And the state was saying, we don't believe you. They're also mandating that he have a breathalyzer in his car. And maybe this is just the way that Connecticut works. And really, maybe this is a broader problem. I don't know anything about it, as you guys can tell, so I don't really want to dive into it. But legalizing marijuana, it must open up for a lot of challenges, because unlike alcohol, it's like you could have it in your system, right? And be completely sober. Like you're testing it, and what if it's in your system for a week and you're like, well, I haven't done, you know what I mean? How do you test for that? I don't know how that works. But but what's similar, anyways, to these hearings that we saw, is he's driving with a suspended license. Of course he is. And then also just his approach. He still kept referring to it as a mistake, and he used the words he was still making an excuse. He was still making himself important. It was so disgusting and disturbing. It's like, I was training in an employee that day, and it was so important that I get there, and I impulsively drove fast. And it's like, you're still just what a childish thing to say. All these years later, it sounds like these horrible injuries that you put on these people driving 90 something miles an hour because you're so important. You are training. And it's like, no, you there's just so many things to say. I don't need to say it. It was, in some ways I thought he interviewed better than others, but it still slips through the cracks, that insane like inability and immaturity and recklessness that you see in these cases. So anyways, let's go jump to it.
Alexander Diaz, 422-874.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Alexander Diaz, inmate number 422-874. He is serving a sentence of six years suspended after 3 years jail, 2 years mandatory minimum followed by 3 years probation, for 2 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence and 2 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under suspension, alcohol second. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of January 19, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed Tier 4 as of October 16th. 3. The DUI home confinement track 3 as of November 17th, 2023. Intensive aftercare as of April 3rd, 2024, and voices as of June 20th, 2024 in his incarceration. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Diaz, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted for parole. You may begin.
Good afternoon. I would like to start by saying thank you for your time today and for considering me for parole. During my time of incarceration, I've completed many programs, including the DUI, Tier 4, aftercare, and voices, and I've attended many NA and AA groups. Also, I'm currently enrolled in school for my GED and taking a vocational course for small engine repair. In these programs, I learned a lot. They helped me realize the way I was living was not right. I know now that what I did was dangerous to myself and to others, and I am lucky and I thank God every day that I did not hurt anyone with my actions. I've learned and still learning that taking accountability for my wrongdoing helped me understand I'm not perfect, but allows me to take steps in a positive change in direction. And doing so openly helps me encourage my peers to do the same. Although my past is not perfect, I'm working on myself every day to become the best version of myself. During this time of incarceration, I had a lot of time to think about the direction I want my life to go in, and I believe I started that change of direction. I know I can't change my past, but I can change the outcome of my future. I have a plan upon my release to work and continue my education and continue on bettering myself. I have a great support system with my family that only wants the best for me and pushes me to be better. Also, I have a cousin waiting for me to be released to set me up with employment with him at Yard Meadows in Southington, Connecticut. I'm humbly asking to be granted parole so I can be there for my family, and most importantly, a chance to prove that I can be better. Again, thank you for your time today.
Okay, well, Mr. Diaz, thank you for your opening comments. We have questions and Ms. Turner will begin.
Afternoon, sir. Thank you for taking the time to write all that out. It was helpful. You delivered it well. I do recognize that you've done some important programs, that you talked about being in school and doing some vocational. All of that's really to your benefit and to be recognized. So what we're doing today is making a decision about whether it's appropriate for you to finish your sentence, the 3 years, after you finish the 2-year mandatory minimum, out in the community before you begin 3 years of probation. And we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety.
I understand.
Okay, so here's what I have. February 2020, you were driving on a suspended license, an unregistered motor vehicle. May of 2020, you were involved in a crash, a DUI, and you fled the scene. October of 2020, you were involved in a DUI rollover and also left the scene. Then in October of 2021, you were in a stolen motor vehicle that you crashed and walked away. So I don't understand how you could sit here at a parole hearing and tell us you didn't hurt anybody.
Well, I didn't physically hurt anybody. I hurt people. I hurt myself, I hurt my family, and people in the community are all affected by the things that I've done. I know that. And I apologize, and I know there's always room for improvement with myself. And I was not in a stolen car. The car that I was driving was not stolen.
You've chosen to drive on a suspended license at least 4 times. Why would you do that?
It was just, I made mistakes. Young
No,
minded.
these were choices. These were choices that you made, sir, to violate the laws of our state.
Yeah, it was choices I made under the influence. And I know they were wrong, and I take full accountability for them. And I'm willing to change. I'm trying to change, and I'm trying to better myself every day.
Why do you suppose you didn't start changing after your first DUI in 2016?
I'm not sure. I guess I was just young-minded and naive.
Here's what I don't understand. You were interviewed before you were sentenced in January of 2023, and you denied having issues with alcohol. Even everybody in your family who was interviewed in the PSI said, you've got a problem. And you're sitting here with multiple DUIs in your history and driving on a suspended license, involved in accidents, crashes that you leave the scene from. How do you not see that you have a problem with alcohol?
I do see I have a problem.
Now you do. Now you do, because you've been involved in programming, which is really positive. But what were you doing between your last crash in 2021 and your sentencing in 2023? Were you on bail, on bond?
Yes, I was on bond. I was working.
Were you drinking?
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes.
So you didn't go to treatment? I think, Mr. Diaz, your sentence is completely appropriate. And I'm glad that you have probation to follow. I hope you have some new insights to work with. Do you know why alcohol's a problem for you?
Yes, I do.
Would you share that with us?
Because when I drink, I make poor decisions.
But why do you drink to excess?
I don't know. I guess I was just in a dark time in my life.
What made it a dark time?
I had a cousin that passed away in 2020. So I didn't know how to breathe.
Your first DUI was 2016, then 2017.
I don't have no excuses for those.
I'm not looking for excuses, Mr. Diaz. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking to appreciate that you have some insight into why alcohol became a problem for you.
I don't know. I guess just young, just trying to have fun, and I wasn't really thinking about the consequences at the time.
Do you remember any of the crashes?
Yes, I do.
It concerns me deeply that you have completed the DUI program, Tier 4 and aftercare, and you aren't able to explain why alcohol became a problem for you.
I don't know. I can't explain how it became a problem. I just know it did become a problem when I started drinking excessively.
Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic? Do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
If you are an alcoholic or were an alcoholic, you are an alcoholic today.
Do you think there's going to be a point in your life where you can go back to social drinking?
No,
What is your relapse prevention plan?
to stay working, continue my education, and look for groups,
What kind of groups?
AA, therapy for anything recommended that'll be beneficial for me.
Put those in order of priority. Can you
Put
do
what?
that?
The programs,
No, the things that your relapse prevention plan.
Yeah.
Put those in order. What's number one?
AA,
Number two?
relapse prevention therapy,
Are you still doing groups there in the facility?
yes I am,
Why do you go to AA?
because I want change, I want better for myself and my
What do
family.
you get out of the meetings?
I get insight and they tell me like the steps, and I hear like stories from them that really put perspective. for
Have
me
you
in my
started
life.
working the 12 steps?
No, I was when I was in tier 4, but
Why would
I
you
don't have,
keep
I
doing
don't have
that?
a sponsor. I don't have a sponsor. I was waiting to be released so I could find a sponsor.
You really ought to be doing the step work inside. You don't need a sponsor. Find another inmate that's in recovery. You can do it together. I'm really concerned, Mr. Diaz, because I don't think you've prepared yourself to be suitable and successful. And your charges could not be more serious. The risk to public safety.
I understand.
I'm glad you have a sponsor. I'm glad you have a job waiting for you. And, you need to work on this relapse prevention plan. It needs, what are your triggers?
Just people, places, and things.
So what's the thing?
Like if I'm going by a liquor store that I used to hang out with, or like seeing people drinking and stuff like that. I just
Sir,
got,
that's everywhere. I mean, we have package stores
understand,
every corner, and you're going back to New
Understand.
Britain. So they're gonna be the same ones that you used to hang out at.
understand, but the things that I want outweigh my past situations. So I want better for myself, so I'm
What do you
not,
understand you're gonna have to go through to get your license restored?
repeat that again.
What's it gonna take to get your license restored?
I know I have to pay fines. I have to put a breathalyzer in my car.
Called an interlock device.
Yep,
Do you know how long you have to have it?
I believe 2 years.
Probably. It's one thing, Mr. Diaz, to overindulge, to get inebriated, to get, blackout drunk, to binge drink. Those are all problems, but it's your choice. But when you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, that's where the problem lies. And I don't think you fully appreciate that. I mean, you're in crashes, you're in rollovers, and you're going to sit here and dispute with me whether or not the motor vehicle was stolen? I just don't think you're getting the picture.
I don't know. I can't.
So in January of 2023, You didn't believe you had a problem. When did you come to the realization that you do?
I did believe I had a problem in 2023.
Nope, not with alcohol. That's what you said when you were interviewed by the judicial branch. Alcohol wasn't a problem for you. And so was it made clear it was a problem when you got sentenced to 6 years? Is that what made a difference?
Probably when I was in a tier 4 program, the DUI program.
Do you remember, was it an aha moment? Was it a, oh my God, that's me?
Yeah.
What was it? Something somebody said, a video you watched, a exercise? What was it?
So when they say you become an alcoholic, when it starts interfering with your life.
Been interfering with your life for a very long time, sir. And you know, we see this 2016 DUI. We know that means you have one even before that. You took alcohol education?
Mm-hmm.
I'm earnest in my appeal to you to get a handle on this.
I'm trying.
People are dying on our streets every week because people choose to get behind the wheel after they've used or they've been drinking.
I understand.
Wrong way drivers on almost every case.
I understand.
You are so fortunate that you were sitting before us without having killed someone.
I understand that.
I do hope you understand, because it wasn't for lack of trying on your part. You very easily could have killed people.
I understand that.
You can understand it. I hope you can feel the seriousness that I'm trying to convey to you.
I do.
Good.
And I thank God that I haven't killed nobody with my actions. And I really do. Every day in here, I'm trying to change. And I never want to drink and drive again.
Okay, keep at the change and work on your relapse prevention plan. Because for you to say you're going to look for groups, and that's number 3 on your relapse prevention plan, tells me you aren't taking this seriously. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Just, you're just lucky that you didn't kill anybody, man. I'll just reiterate, you're just so lucky. People in the community are lucky that you didn't kill them.
I understand.
Yeah, Mr. Diaz, Ms. Turner kind of summed it up for me. You completed Tier 4 October 16, 2023, the DUI home confinement 11/17/23. You were in aftercare, you did voices, you did all kinds of stuff. And, here you are. Your drinking is a serious, serious problem.
I know that.
And for me, in the best interest of public safety, I know you need to do some more work on yourself. And I hope you can agree and take the advice that Ms. Turner gave you today. Okay, I'm all set.
Okay. So obviously it's a no for me.
Yeah.
I'm citing criminal history, nature and circumstance, and inadequate evidence of offender change.
I had really planned to, but I don't have to.
Well, now that he's telling us he's got a sponsor and a job waiting.
Yeah, but that's not anyway, in the case of Alexander Diaz, inmate number 422874, there is a motion to deny request for discretionary parole due to nature and circumstances of the current offense, criminal history, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion granted. Mr. Diaz, we wish you the best of luck.
You.
This This concludes the hearing for Alexander Diaz, inmate number 422874.
Okay, man, that was I really like Miss Turner. She was like just digging into him. I actually almost felt bad for him for a second. He's sitting there like, and this like, woo, that wasn't fun. But really, who's to blame? I think it's the judges and weak DAs that let him get away with it time and time and time and time again. And I was trying, like, I was taking, and we'll see one more after this from a different docket, a different day. But I was like trying to think like, okay, is he just like, maybe he had this real drinking problem and finally he gets locked up and he really is trying, but he's not. He's still not trying. And because like they said, he's finished his things and he's not practicing the 12 steps. I don't have a sponsor. It's like just think if it was you. Think if it was you in prison and you identified with all this insight and programs because you threw yourself at it. You said, why am I here? Why am I at rock bottom right now? Why am I in this place full of men being told what to do, when to eat, when to sleep, in this gross like box, this hellhole? Why? And then you would finally you get some insight. Why do I drink? Like you would think with nothing but time on your hands, you would have the answers. Not because you need the answers for your parole hearing, but because you thought about it. And because you were in programs that would help think about it. When you're going through the 12 steps and you're sitting in the room and you're talking and you're thinking, and there's nothing. He's trying to make up my cousin died. And who hasn't had someone that they love die? And like they said, that's not when you started. You have a long history. And it's like, how? Like, is there nothing there? I don't know. And then I always wish that they would ask, oh, what's step number 3? Like, just like not to be even, you should ask it for any reason, but let me just let's hear if he actually even knows the steps. For the first time, it might have been today there were 5 DUI cases today, but one of them they said, what's step 12? They asked, for the first time I heard them say, what's step 12? And I think I think the answer was that you start over again. I've never done the 12 steps or anything. I don't know much. I don't know what the steps are. But look, it's just like this lack of insight. Now he has a long history. Sir Richard pulled it here. Remember, this was before Lady Holly. I'm going to old hearings in 2024. He's still locked up, by the way. So he's getting out November 2025. That's in 5 months from the time of this recording. So yeah, make sure if you're in Connecticut to wear that seatbelt a little extra tight. So he is operating under the influence 1/20/2023, 2/25/2015. He has used a vehicle without permission. 4/28/17, illegal operation under suspension. 5/28/2016, illegal operation under suspension. Look at this. Sentenced 6 months, but suspended after 2 days. This is after he already has a long record, and he gets just 2 days in jail with the illegal under suspension. And that was violation of probation. Why was he not serving any probation time? Because it's pathetic, weak system. And it's so insane because it's not benefiting anybody. This is the point. When you were given a gift of probation for what would have been here, 2/25/2015, use of vehicle, he's given a probation, then he violates it, but he gets just 2 days jail. Then 5/14/2017, illegal operation under the influence, sentenced 6 months, but also suspended after 2 days jail. This is 5/14 arrested 2017. This is 5/28/2016. It's like a year later. Why? Why are you giving him which, by the way, that 2 days jail probably was what he served because he was arrested maybe Friday and Saturday, Sunday. He sat, waited for court to open up Monday, and they said, don't worry about it. Let's give you more probation. interference with an officer. He has 2017. As you can see, it's a long record of insanity. Now, you might say, whose fault is it? Is it the alky's fault, or is it the system that allows him to be put in this situation to do this time and time again? It keeps going. His record keeps going. 220, 2019, another illegal driving. And of course, driving under suspension, driving without insurance, flipping cars. Here's 221. It just keeps going. When will it stop? And he has other things in his jacket. Burglary. I mean, unbelievable. Here's his third. His third illegal operating under the influence. 3 convictions for it. And what do? They sentence him to 3 years jail, suspended after 18 months. Another gift. And what does he do with that gift? Because they say, why not? Let's just give you suspended after 18 months and give you probation 3 years, because it's not like he doesn't have like maybe a lifetime full of probation already. He does it again. 4/14/2022. I don't get it. I don't think anyone gets it. And again, it's like, this is dangerous. Why, as a judge, your job as a DA and a judge is to protect your community, your streets, your children. To put him on the road again and expect different results is insanity. And you don't need Einstein to tell us that. But yet they keep doing it time and time again. And weren't you shocked when you heard that when he gets a license, he only needs to have an interlock device for 2 years? Why? With all the money you guys have going on in your whatnot, 2 years? Make him pay for it, which they probably do. Why not make it maybe 5 years? The worst it will do is cost money to keep us a little bit safer. And we know that those interlock devices are only as good as, he hears someone who's stealing vehicles. No, I'm not stealing. Who can clearly get in a car that doesn't have that device. You see it all the time. Anyways, at least they denied. And we're going to go see another hearing. And he falls under the same bucket. It's the same callousness, the same ineptitude, the same inability to have any insight. It's a trend. See, not everyone. It's a strange thing, people can drink and drive and make a mistake. But what's so uncanny about this, you see it in body cam footage, of arrest footage, is that so many of the people that do seem to have this one thing in common, which is that it's not really like a mistake that disgusts us. It's their inability to have empathy. It's where they view themselves as the victim without realizing the lives that they destroyed. Some of you may have seen this hearing. It has, I played it some time ago. YouTube did its thing and hit it. 95% of you have not yet seen it. I'm playing it at the end, so as not to be, if you've seen it already, you've seen it already. But chances are, I think about 95% chance you haven't. So it's going to be the old me unpacking that at the end of it. So I'll say goodbye to the new me for now. And with that, let's jump in.
My business is in Milford. I would buy a bottle of wine. It takes about an hour to drive home. And I would pretty much ship the whole bottle on the way home. So basically,
it's drinking. You drank the whole bottle.
well,
Not a sip.
okay. The choice of words that mean the same thing.
No, they don't. They
Okay.
really do not mean the same thing, sir.
Okay.
And you can't make it up. Can you imagine that he uses those words at his parole hearing? I buy a bottle of wine for my drive home. It's an hour long, and I finished it. I took a sip. And it's a choice of words. You can't make it up. I don't know. He must have had too much of that Connecticut water, because with an answer like that, really, it just they continue to surprise me at these Connecticut parole hearings. They really do. And this man really has DUI after DUI after DUI. And finally, a judge said, enough is enough. You're going to go to prison. Now, hearing doesn't get much better from his perspective. So I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
Good morning.
Today's video is sponsored by Aura. Did you know companies can take months to report a data breach? On average, it's 277 days before you even find out that your personal data has been exposed. Think about that, 277 days. That means that your sensitive information like your email, your phone number, even your financial details can already be out there. Now, it's not just one company, but major banks and corporations, they've all experienced breaches in the past year. Maybe you've seen about it in the news. Your information could be compromised right now and you wouldn't even know it. Now, that's why I use Aura. Aura scans the dark web and alerts me fast if personal information has been leaked. If someone tries to open a bank account or credit card in my name, I'll know right away. I have been using Aura for about maybe 9 months now. Something that they also do that really helps me a lot is keep spam callers away. That's a big bonus for me. They actually remove my name from those spam caller lists. Now, they also provide up to $5 million in identity theft insurance and a full suite of tools to keep you protected. And it's all done in one app. You can try Aura for free for 14 days at aura.com/Mandoo. And that's 2 weeks to find out if your data has already been exposed before you hear from a company months later. So why wait? Get some peace of mind and try out Aura for free. Take control of your digital security right now. And now let's go back to the hearing.
Thank you for seeing me. My name is Stephen Courtney,
And your inmate number, sir?
417259.
Officer Neely, it's clear that Mr. Courtney has some problems hearing, so if we could all raise our voices.
Mr. Courtney, have you heard her so far? Can you hear her so far?
Could you repeat that, please?
Can you hear us now better?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. All right. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259. He is serving a sentence of 63 months. Execution suspended after 39 months jail, 3 years probation, followed for 3 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, violation of probation with underlying offenses of reckless endangerment, interfering with officer resistance, and a violation of probation with the underlying offense of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, attempt to evade responsibility, and reckless driving. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 3/15/2025 at 50%. There's no victim input in this case. The offender, there is an offender accountability plan. However, it has been reviewed and shows the offender has not completed any programs to date, utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores. The SRT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Courtney, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Well, obviously, I'm here for my own mistakes. I fully acknowledge that. I made mistakes, and you have all my records in front of you, so you're aware of the fact. And I'm not saying this to make an excuse, because there is no excuse, but I was born with a very, very painful and terminal bone disease that I made the mistake of sipping wine on the way home from work to reduce the pain. None of the medications that the doctors gave me for years did anything at all. I was self-injecting myself for several years with 3 different medications, one stronger than the other. And the first 2 didn't work at all. The third one I was taking every month, and it worked for a few years. And then after a few years, it started working less and less, like 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks. FDA only allowed you to take it once a month because it had cancer side effects, but my doctors got the FDA to let me take it every 3 weeks. And I did that for about a year or 2, and that helped. But again, it kept getting less and less. So I got to the point in 2020 where I needed help. So I went and I sought counsel. And through 2020 and halfway through 2021, I sought counsel. And at the end of that, I have been completely alcohol-free for going on 4 years now, based on that counseling that I sought back in 2020 and 2021. I live with my wife. We have our own house. We've been together for 55 years. She's been fighting cancer for the last 30. So it's been a tough 14 months for her. But again, it's my fault. So I fully acknowledge that. I rationalized when I was sipping wine on the way home because I knew it was wrong, but it was helping with my pain level. So I definitely rationalized. And as I said, for the last 3.5, going on 4 years now, I've been completely alcohol free. I know that they suspended my license, so I have a problem there. I plan on going back to work. It's about 40 miles away from where I live. I'll have to figure out a way to get there. But I don't know. The one thing I would like to mention to you, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this because I've done this completely on my own for the last 30 years, and it's something that only my wife and I are aware of. But I established a philanthropic fund back 30 years ago, strictly for children who need help. Places like Covenant House, providing housing for teenagers who have no place to go. Shriners Hospital for children, St. Jude's Hospital for
Okay,
children's
Mr. Courtney. Mr.
Yes,
Courtney,
ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're
Right.
asking you to tell us why you believe you deserve parole. Could
I
you
was just
focus
gonna-
on that question?
I was going to mention on the fact that this pet program of mine, I've contributed over $2 million to in the last 30 years, just to help children out. And again, nobody knows about it except me and my wife and the recipients. I stopped drinking completely. It was a mistake. I acknowledge that. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm used to working
Okay.
6.5 days a week. I've helped people my whole life. If I didn't have money, I did it with my carpentry skills. Once I became successful in business, I've done it financially, and I continue to do that. I will continue when I get out of here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you're ready, we'll begin with asking the questions we prepared based on the documents that were available to us.
Okay.
All right, we'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Courtney, your file was an interesting read, and your statement was even more interesting.
I think we need to be louder.
Okay. Are you struggling to hear me, sir?
I can hear you. It's tough, but I can hear you.
Okay. So I said that your file was an interesting read, and the statement that you just gave us was even more interesting. And it was interesting because you said that you repeatedly said that you made mistakes. And I would challenge you or argue that they weren't mistakes, sir, that they were actually choices. And from sipping wine, I don't think you can get drunk. Taking a sip to ease the pain is completely, you sound like you're making it sound as if you were taking communion. That's a sip of wine, not a whole bottle of wine or wine in your car. tell us where exactly you work, sir. Where, was it in Milford?
My business is in Milford. I would buy a bottle of wine. It takes about an hour to drive home. And I would pretty much sip the whole bottle on the way home. So basically.
It's drinking. You drank the whole bottle. Not a sip.
Okay. The choice of words that mean the same thing.
No, they don't. They
Okay.
really do not mean the same thing, sir.
Okay.
So in Milford, this is where you work. Your drive home was about an hour, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so why did you get 6 or 7 DUIs in New York then?
6 or 7, that never happened.
Sir, your DUI, you had operating under the influence from 93 up until 2021. In fact,
No,
were you under some supervision or something in New York, or is that another file? Because these all run together.
You have 93, and that was one, and then the one in 21 when the plow fell off the front of my truck. That's the second one. What else do you have?
You have one in 93. I show 2012, 2014, 2011, and 2017. So that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in Connecticut, you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't have anything in 2017. And the one and two.
You shouldn't have more than one.
I understand you're correct.
I mean, we're not argue over how many of these that you've received, sir. We're simply saying that your choices, not your mistakes, your choices to drink wine and drive throughout the states is a danger to society. You've been in prison for how many months? You said 14 months now?
14, yes, ma'am.
And you have not taken any programs to address your substance abuse. Do you think that you're an addict, sir?
I signed up for Division 2.
Do you think that you are addicted to alcohol, sir?
No, and I signed up for level 2 alcohol on March 3rd. And on March 12th, I received a response from the prison saying that I was on the list. And I never heard a word for 8 months. And then last week, they called me to tell me that, my name had come up for this program. I explained to them that I had this meeting with you folks today, and the woman specifically said, okay, let's put this off until after the parole hearing. I've tried to get into the GED program to teach other inmates, and I have a bachelor's degree. I was told by the counselor that the inmates
we're getting off track. I need you to really stay focused on the questions that I'm asking you, sir. You're not in prison because you're trying to give $2 million to children, or you're trying to assist people to obtain their GED. You're in prison because you continue to drink alcohol and then get behind the wheel of a car and drive. And in this instance, sir, you were on the side of the road because you crashed into some trees. Why is it? I know I'm speaking loud enough for him to hear.
Yes.
I can hear you. The problem is, if you can just speak a little slowly, it's not your fault, it's mine. I can't hear you.
Okay. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Courtney, I do not believe that you're a suitable candidate for discretionary parole. You have not taken any programs to address your needs. You have several, driving while under the influences. You talked about your license being suspended, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Or will you ever be able to receive another?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And you were supposed to have the interlock device in your car, right?
Interlock device, no. I've had them in the past, but not when what happened put me here, no.
Because you weren't supposed to be driving at all.
That's not true. No. I had a totally legitimate license when this took place.
So with 4 DUIs in Connecticut and the 6 in New York, you weren't required to have an interlock device in your car, sir?
I would be required to have it for like 3 months at a time, and then it would go away. And then maybe 2 years later, I get in trouble again and have to put it back in again. This one in 2017, I have no idea what you're talking about, really.
Okay,
And,
that's
and I
fine.
have tried to sign up for things and I've been told no.
I understand that, sir, but until you do get the programs, I mean, even with the programs, have you ever put, you said to me that you don't believe that you're addicted to alcohol, and I would challenge you to really think about that statement, sir. No one receives this number of this number of convictions for driving under the influence without having an issue with substance abuse.
Ma'am, the only thing I could say to you in reference to that is, if you took a little more look at this terminal bone disease I have, you might realize how extremely painful it is. I am not
That's fine.
addicted to alcohol or anything
I
else.
sympathize with you and your ailments, Mr. Courtney, but drink and stay at home, okay? Drink all you want, stay home.
I don't plan on drinking ever again, man.
But I'm saying, if that's your ailment and you've been struggling with this since you were a child, as you told us in your opening statement, you want to drink alcohol? Alcohol is legal. You can go to the store and buy it. Our issue is that you get behind the wheel of a car and you put thousands of other people at risk because of your poor decisions.
I agree with you.
And these are not mistakes.
I am not drinking alcohol again, period. I'm done. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I've acknowledged that. And I will never drink again. I'm sorry.
I don't think our issue really is with your drinking, sir. It's what you do after you're drinking. So
explain to you.
There's nothing else to explain because, you know, in this, you had this is a concerned citizen called authorities because you had a single car accident. You had vomit in your front seat. And what was going on that day? That's a sip of alcohol, vomiting in your front seat?
The one that you're talking about, I was parking my truck asleep on my own private property.
Sir.
On private property that I own.
Sir.
And that's a fact.
Okay, I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Courtney,
Yes, ma'am.
when you had your pre-sentence investigation interview, you told the interviewer that when I do drink, I cannot stop.
True.
That is the sign of someone who is a problem drinker.
I agree.
And okay. And the fact that you cannot wait until you get home to address your pain issues with alcohol, but you would spend an hour on the road every day finishing off a bottle of wine. Finishing it off. He drank a whole bottle in the hour ride home is a problem, sir. We made our decision about your going out to discretionary parole to finish your 39 months based on the interests of public safety.
I understand.
Okay. Mr. Ziskowskis.
Good morning, sir. I don't have a lot of questions. There's just a couple of things. You said that you weren't able to get the programming inside. You had applied for it, but when you spoke to the parole officer and they asked you, do you plan to take any programming when you get out for your alcohol problem? You said, no, I don't need it. And in fact, your plan was you were going to go on a safari and then you wanted to go to the driving range to hit golf balls. You're not addressing, the issue, and you're not acknowledging that you have a problem with alcohol. I mean, even today you said you have no. I know, but just a couple.
Have a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. But just a couple of minutes ago, you were telling us you have no problem with alcohol. That's the whole reason why you're here. Drinking alcohol and then driving behind the wheel. So I just think you need to come to terms with what's going on in your life and make a plan so that you can get to a place where you can, recognize what the issue is and get some treatment to help you with that. You've had no treatment since you've been incarcerated, and you have no plan to attend treatment on the outside, and you have plans to do all kinds of other things, but not address the problems that led you here. So I encourage you to get serious about your problem and start making plans for how you're going to address this when you get out, because you're going to be right back in here with this, with the attitude that you're presenting today. You're going to be right back in here, sir. I mean, you're not, yeah. You're not in a place where you're not in a place where you're presenting as a person that's been rehabilitated and has changed and is ready to get back into the community in a safe manner. I don't know if you know this, but there's a note in here, like your neighbors are all afraid to walk on their street because they're so concerned that of your drinking and driving up and down the road that they're afraid to even come out of the house and walk on the road. So, yeah, this is a public safety concern that I don't think you're at a point that you've recognized the magnitude of. Yeah.
I don't understand that you're not understanding that I'm telling you that I can't drink at all. I don't want to drink at home. I don't want to drink ever, because when I drink, I get out of control. So and I do have a program set up for when I get back. I'll be going to see a psychologist that I was seeing in Westport several years ago, who now has an office in Richfield. He moved from Mahopac, New York to Richfield, where I live. And now my attorney has set up a program for me to start seeing him again. He also has an office in Westport, but it's more convenient for me in Richfield because I can't drive. And that program has already been established. But the thing is, I can't understand, I can't be more emphatic about the fact that I do not want to drink at home. I do not want to drink at home.
I understand you don't want to drink, and I'm sure you don't want to drink and drive, but you need to get rehabilitated. People need help with that. That's not just, you just say it and then the problem goes away. That's not how this works, you know? So you need to have treatment and make plans to have treatment, sir. So that's all. Those are just some of the things that I noticed when I read through these documents that I wanted to bring up. And I'm going to pass it back to the chairperson here.
So, Mr. Courtney, the concern really is that you're going back to the same house, the same job, and you fix nothing. And so, and you still have your medical issues, which is what you attribute your abuse of alcohol to. So even situationally, things don't seem to put you in a better place to not reoffend. And that's our concern. So at this point, we're done with the questions. We're going to talk about your case. Give us just a minute. Ms. Berry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that we have all expressed our concerns, and they're all very much the same at this time. While I can appreciate Mr. Courtney's ailing health and his medical issues, I don't believe that he's suitable at this time. I'm happy to hear that he is at least now accepting that he does have a problem with alcohol. We've made some strides. Maybe I wasn't as clear as the two of you or as articulate, but at least now he recognizes that he has an issue that needs to be addressed. He knows that he can no longer drink. That's great for him to know, but for right now, I don't find him suitable for discretionary. In fact, he's been given a number of times. I will not vote to have him with me.
I'm not interested in that either. Are you on board?
Yeah, I can't I can't even have this conversation without him having received some type of treatment, you know. So I'm not in a place to grant parole.
Okay. So the reasons I have are criminal history, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change, nature and circumstance.
On probation, Madam Chair. And he's in for VOP. So.
Well, the probation was New York, so. Are we okay with those reasons?
I have those, yeah, those three.
Okay. So in the matter of Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259, there is motion to deny parole for the following reasons: your criminal history, the nature and circumstance of your current offenses, your inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Parole is denied unanimously.
Would you please help me sign up for this Tier 2 program that I've been trying to get into since last March?
I would think you need Tier 4, sir, but please talk to the counselors there at the facility. Ask for Tier 4.
Good luck.
This concludes the hearing for Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259. Mr. Courtney, you'll receive all this in writing, okay? So good luck to you. Talk to your counselor about, your interest in tier 4 or whatever program it is that you choose to do. Have a good one.
Hide your wife, hide your kids, stay off the road. Like you heard, they said their neighbors are afraid, and that is a travesty. He is getting out regardless in good time in March. That's in 5 months from now. He's going to be back on the road. He is dangerous. Oh my God. This is someone who is so dangerous. How can you be so clueless? And it's like the whole world can see that it's happening. He's going to get out. He's going to get back in a car because he's going to drive an hour to and back from work every day. But don't worry, he's just going to sip some wine. They need to like designate a patrol car to follow him and just wait, watch him go and sip his wine, pull him over and lock him up for good. Put away the key. I've been donating millions of dollars over all these. No one knows about it. So I'm going to tell you that I do it. It's like, dude, you're dangerous. At least the parole board, for these cases, they don't like the DWI cases. I think because I don't know why it is that they wrap their mind around that differently than like those who harm children, it's just something they think about differently for some reason. But man, I do, even though they handled it great, I still wish Mr. Mirabella would have had a piece of him. I mean, there had to be something. You would think there should be something that they can do to protect society from this monster. I don't know, like, could they not set requirements? Could they not like issue, like we've seen Louisiana do that? They'll be like, you're denied, and when you get out, or they'll make some type of conditional parole first, but they'll say you need to wear a scramble bracelet, you need to have a breathalyzer, you need to do this, you need to do that. He apparently is wealthy. He can, or he claims to be, and he can do those things, right? Well, I just feel like this is going to be another one of those big one of those things. It killed. How did this happen? Why it could have been stopped? But I'll read to you some things that Sir Richard found. Let's see. I can. There's an address here, so I'll just read it to you instead of screen sharing it. But let's see, and we'll go over his crimes. 2013. So this is in 2013. Richville police were called to Mountain Road at 9 p.m. Sunday on word a car was stuck in someone's lawn. When the patrol officer arrived and approached the vehicle, it sped off, nearly striking the police officer, who ran to his car and followed it. They had a brief chase, a car chase, that ended when the car struck a parked car and a tree. When the officer stopped near the car, the driver backed up and hit the cruiser. I mean, how was he not locked away for this? This was October 9, 2013. Not his most recent offense, right? The officer of the man later identified as Stephen Courtney struggled, and the man was charged with criminal attempt to assault an officer, interference with police officer, first-degree criminal mischief, driving under the influence, and failure to drive right. What is that? Failure to drive right. He was also charged with reckless driving, failure to drive in the established lane, eluding police, 2 counts, and evading responsibility. And let's see what they gave him for that, right? Now, he would have had a good attorney. The attorney would have said, this might have been his first offense, would have said, he's a great guy, he's an outstanding person, blah, blah, blah. So that was, like we said, 20, let me see, let me just remove this here. All right. That was 2013. So that's this one. What did he get for this? He got sentenced to 9 months jail. But I think probation down. Did he actually serve the time though? I guess that's not so clear, because you can see it's revoked for this offense. Then he has his 2020, which was sentenced to 3 years jail. But remember, they suspended it after after all of this. The bottom line is he's only serving like 1 year with good time. He has on 5/21/2020 his third DUI. He has 2018 illegal operation of a vehicle, sentenced 3 years, but suspended after 1, probation 3. All right, I have in my notes. They say he's a low risk of recidivism. It's like, they're idiotic algorithms. Low risk of recidivism. Are you kidding me? This guy is such a high risk, but that's what they do. We don't have PhDs. We don't understand it. Yeah. I don't know. Here's the other accident. Is this the same 2011 accident? I don't know. They say they also found 35 grams of the devil's lettuce in his car. What can you do? It's just crazy. I think it's the sentencing that's crazy for this. Hopefully, maybe they have the requirements. Maybe the judge sets the requirements that once he's released, he has to do those things. Maybe that's out of the parole board's hands. It's just a different system. My 4-year-old son just came back from school while I was recording this, and he came in and he gave me this bracelet that he made for me, and he says, "I put turtles on it," and he did. He put, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, he made a bracelet. There you go. And he actually put 2 turtles on it, and he gave it to me. He knows I like turtles. Oh, you can see it this way. And that was really cute. And it's like, we have to do a better job at protecting our little ones. We just do. This guy is so dangerous, so clueless. And it's a strange thing with these DUI cases. I know that DUIs happen. There are people that don't, a lot of people drink and drive. Some people never get caught. Some people do get caught. Some people do it once or twice. This guy clearly has probably been doing his whole life, and he just gets caught every once in a blue moon. But so many that we see who get caught, who then have parole, they are the worst of the worst, and they show it at their parole hearings. There's this type of just detachment of reality that we see over and over again, especially the ones that kill people. And it's just strange. I don't know how that happens, but it does. And thank you, Sir Richard, for the info. With that, I'll let you go.